All right, let's get right into it. We've all been there, right? You're fired up, full of motivation, ready to make some huge life change, only to find yourself right back where you started a few weeks later. Well, today, we're going to look at an idea that says maybe, just maybe, we've been going about it all wrong. What if lasting change doesn't come from some massive feat of willpower, but from something surprisingly tiny?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We set these goals. We're going to exercise more, eat healthier, learn that new language. And we start out great. But then, something happens. The motivation fizzles out, life gets busy, and that new habit just kind of vanishes. So what is really going on here?
Okay, this slide right here is where things start to shift. See, our default setting is to play the blame game. When we fail, we turn it inwards. I'm lazy. I have no discipline. But behavior scientist B.J. Fogg says we should be playing a totally different game, the design game. The problem isn't you. It was never you. The problem was that the habit itself was just poorly designed from the start.
And that leads us right into our first big idea, the failure of force. Our usual strategy for making a change is to just try harder, grit our teeth, push through, rely on sheer willpower. But that very approach, it turns out, is the exact thing that's setting us up for failure.
And this quote, wow, it just captures the emotional cost perfectly. When our brute force method doesn't work, we don't question the method, we question ourselves. Fogg really gets to the heart of that shame so many of us feel, and he offers us a way out of that trap.
So let's break it down. Why is willpower such a terrible strategy? Well, for starters, motivation is like a really flaky friend. It shows up when it feels like it and disappears when you need it most. Then there's what the psychologist Kahneman talks about. We always think our future self will be the superhero of discipline. We also tend to pick these vague goals like get in shape, which isn't concrete action you can actually do. And maybe most importantly, as Nir Eyal, the author of Indistractable, points out, our so-called bad habits are often just there to soothe an emotional need, like stress or boredom.
So here it is. This is the crucial takeaway. The solution is not to double down on a strategy that's already broken. It's to completely rethink the approach. Stop trying to increase the force. Instead, you need to reduce the friction. You have to redesign the behavior to be ridiculously easy.
Okay, so if force isn't the answer, then what is? Well, it turns out there's this simple but incredibly powerful formula that explains everything. This is the engine that runs behind every single action you take, whether you know it or not.
And this is it. The Fogg behavior model. It's so elegant. For any behavior to happen, three things have to come together at the exact same time. Motivation, which is your desire, ability, which is how easy it is to do, and a prompt, which is the trigger that says, do it now. If even one of those is missing, the behavior will not happen. Period. No exceptions.
So let's really look at these three levers you can pull. You've got motivation, which we already know is totally unreliable. You've got the prompt, the little cue or trigger, and then you have ability. And this isn't just about your skill level, it's about how easy or hard the action is in that specific moment. Now, of those three, which one can you most reliably control? It's ability, every single time.
And this right here, this is the secret. Motivation and ability work like a seesaw. If you want to do something really hard, like run a marathon, you're going to need a mountain of motivation. But to do something ridiculously easy, like putting on your running shoes and tying them, you need almost zero motivation. The real key to being consistent is to make the behavior so easy you can do it even on your absolute worst, laziest day.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? We shouldn't be designing habits for our best-case scenario, heroic selves. No, we should be designing for our tired, distracted, completely ordinary selves. That is how you build a habit that actually sticks around. Okay, so we've made the behavior tiny. We get it. But there is one more ingredient, and honestly, this might be the most important one of them all. It's not about the action, it's about the emotion that comes right after. Now, this is a game changer. We've always been told that habits are carved into our brains through endless repetition, but Fogg says that's not quite right. What actually makes a behavior become automatic is the positive feeling you connect to it. Your brain literally learns what to do again based on how good it felt. So here's the actual recipe you can use today. First, you find an anchor moment, some solid routine you already do without thinking, like making your morning coffee. Second, you attach your new, tiny behavior to it. Like after I start the coffee maker, I will do 2 squats. It has to be that small. And third, and you cannot skip this part, an instant celebration. You have to create a feeling of success right away.
A little fist pump, a smile in the mirror, a mental, nailed it. And you know, this lines up perfectly with what Charles Duhigg wrote about in The Power of Habit. That celebration, that's the reward part of the famous habit loop. It's the little signal you send to your brain that says, hey, that thing we just did, that was awesome. Let's do that again. It closes the loop and makes the habit stick.
Fogg has this wonderful name for this feeling. He calls it shine. And the effect of shine goes way beyond just that one little habit. Every time you succeed, every little moment of shine, you're actually starting to rewire your own identity. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through. It builds what psychologists call self-efficacy, that core belief that you can actually achieve the things you set out to do.
But because this whole framework is so powerful, we also have to talk about its responsibilities and, just as importantly, its limits.
You see, these exact same principles of behavior design can be used for good, to help people live the lives they actually want. That's empowering design. But they can also be used to manipulate us, right? To keep us scrolling on an app for hours or buying things we don't need. The ethical line really comes down to intent. Is the design helping you achieve your goals, or is it helping someone else achieve theirs?
It's also so important to be realistic. As powerful as this tool is for personal growth, tiny habits are not a magical cure for every problem life throws at us.
When you're facing profound challenges, things like deep trauma, serious addiction, or huge systemic issues like poverty, a tiny habit can be a really valuable first step. It can be a way to find a small anchor in a storm. But it's not the whole solution. These situations require much, much deeper support, from things like therapy, community, and sometimes big societal changes. And that's maybe the most profound way to apply this method. When you're facing something that feels overwhelming, perhaps the most powerful tiny habit you can possibly design for yourself is the one that connects you to another person. Sending that one text message, making that one phone call, taking that first tiny step to ask for help. So let's end with this one thought. For way too long, we've been sold this idea that meaningful change has to feel like a struggle, that it has to be painful to be real. But maybe, just maybe, real change can begin with a feeling of success. It can start with an action so small it feels almost too easy to even count. And it can begin with that quiet, powerful thought, hey, I did it.